Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little different today. Usually we're looking at modern data, tech trends, or psychology, things happening right now.
Very contemporary stuff.
Exactly. But today, we're going to travel back in time. And I don't mean to the Roaring '20s or the Civil War. We're going to a very specific, very muddy, and very cold night in 1792.
We are going to Philadelphia.
We're off to Philadelphia.
The capital of the young United States. And honestly, for the people living there at that time, it was the center of the universe. It was the absolute heartbeat of the new republic.
It was. But if you're picturing, guys in powdered wigs calmly signing documents in Independence Hall, that whole sanitized version we get in history class.
Marble statues and the noble gazes.
Yeah, all of that. I need you to just wipe that image from your mind completely. Because the Philadelphia we are stepping into today was really a tale of two cities. It's a place of just violent contrast.
It really is. And it's physically split. On one hand, you've got the high society. You have the paved streets, the whale oil street lamps, the stately red brick mansions of the wealthy people like the Binghams and the Morrises.
The people who are quite literally banking on the future of America.
Right. They are drinking imported Madeira, wearing fine silks, and they're discussing the price of government debt in these hushed, polite tones.
And then, literally a few blocks away, you have Helltown.
Which is... yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like.
It's mud. It's filth. It's just desperation. We're talking unpaved alleys filled with horse manure and the stench of, cheap tobacco and tanneries. It's dark. It's dangerous.
And it's where the people who haven't benefited from the revolution end up.
And that is where our story begins. We are diving into the world of the Whiskey Rebels by David Liss.
This is such a fascinating narrative because it's a collision. It's a collision of high finance. I mean, this is the birth of the American stock market, essentially. And the gritty, violent reality of the post-revolutionary world. It's about the people who fought for a country that is just rapidly leaving them behind.
It's historical fiction, obviously.
Yeah.
But the economics, the social tensions, they're pulled straight from the archives.
Oh, absolutely. It explores a side of the Founding Fathers era that we rarely see. The corruption, the greed, the failures.
And at the center of this whole collision is a man named Captain Ethan Saunders. And let me tell you, Ethan is, he's seen better days.
To put it mildly, he's a wreck.
It is our window into this world, but the glass is very, very dirty.
So our mission today is to unpack this story, because we have two separate narratives here running in parallel.
We've got Ethan in 1792, who's a disgraced former spy for Washington, now living in total squalor. And then we have this timeline shift back to 1781.
With a woman named Joan Maycott, who is brilliant, self-taught, and she essentially predicts the future of American corruption before it even happens.
And by weaving these two threads together, we're going to see how the United States went from this revolutionary ideal to what one of the characters calls a paradise for speculators.
I love that phrase. It feels so modern.
It sounds like something you'd hear on a finance blog today, doesn't it? About crypto or real estate or something.
Completely. A paradise for speculators. It's perfect.
So let's get right into the mud. Let's talk about Captain Ethan Saunders. We meet him in a tavern called the Lion and Bell.
And the Lion and Bell is the perfect place to establish this mood. It's a cold, rainy night in Philadelphia. The tavern isn't some cozy English pub with a warm hearth, It's a rough place.
Right.
The floor is covered in sawdust to soak up the spillages and, other things. And Ethan is sitting at the bar, and he's drinking Monongahela rye whiskey mixed with hot water.
Monongahela rye. That's a specific choice, isn't it? It's not just whiskey.
Oh, very specific. It's the spirit of the frontier. It's made out in western Pennsylvania, the very region that's about to explode into rebellion against the federal government over taxes, the Whiskey Rebellion.
So drinking it in Philadelphia is almost a political statement.
It is, or at least it's a sign of where your sympathies, or more likely, your budget lie. It's harsh, it's strong, and it is cheap.
And Ethan is drinking it for a purpose. He is, for all intents and purposes, just waiting to die.
Literally waiting. This isn't just a guy having a bad night or drowning his sorrows. He has resigned himself to the fact that his life is about to end. He knows there's a man looking for him, a man named Nathan Dorland.
And Dorland has made it very, very clear to everyone in Philadelphia that he intends to murder Ethan Saunders.
And Ethan's reaction isn't to run. It isn't to hide. It's not even to arm himself.
Nope. It's to sit there, drink his cheap whiskey, and just accept it. He says he's determined not to fight against the tide of popular opinion, which is to say that I ought to be killed.
That line tells you everything about his psychology. This is a man who was once a hero, a captain in the Continental Army, a spy for George Washington himself.
The guy you sent behind enemy lines because he was charming and smart and brave.
And then 10 years ago, everything changed. He was accused of treason, he was disgraced, he was ruined by none other than Alexander Hamilton.
And we are definitely going to get to the Hamilton beef because that is so central to this. It's not just a personal grudge, it's systemic.
It is, but for now, he's just a drunk in a tavern. But he's a fascinating drunk. He's got this sort of philosophical resignation about him. He compares his acceptance of death to a strategy he learned from Washington, sticking to a plan once it's cast.
Which is just a bit of dark irony, right? Considering Washington is the father of the country that completely rejected him.
He's applying military discipline to his own suicide by apathy. But there's a specific detail in this scene that I think really illuminates Ethan's state. It's the watch.
Oh, the watch. This is such a great character moment.
It is. He's sitting there and he pulls out this pocket watch. It's the only thing of value he has on him.
Unless, as he grimly notes, you count his slave, Leonidas.
Which is a whole other layer of complexity and hypocrisy we have to get into. But yes, the watch. It's not his watch.
No, he stole it. Just hours before. He lifted it off some fat jackanapes on Chestnut Street. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is why I love this character so much. He didn't steal it just because he needed the money?
Right. It wasn't a crime of pure necessity. If it were just for money, he would have sold it immediately. Bought a meal, a ticket out of town, something.
Instead, he's keeping it. He's just looking at it. It was a crime of resentment.
Pure resentment. He's walking down the street, and he hears this wealthy merchant bragging. And what's the merchant bragging about? He's been invited to the home of Mr. William Bingham.
And for anyone listening who doesn't know, William Bingham was basically the wealthiest man in America at this time. His home was the absolute epicenter of the new financial aristocracy.
The Binghams modeled their lives on the European nobility. If you were invited to Bingham's, you had arrived, you were part of the new ruling class, the paper aristocracy.
And Ethan hears this glorified storekeeper, as he calls him, bragging about this invitation. And it just snaps something inside him.
You can just feel it. Here is Ethan, who risked his life for the revolution, who crawled through mud and blood for liberty, who saw his friends die, and now he's a beggar.
Meanwhile, this guy, who just moves money around, is going to the finest party in the nation.
It's that collision we talked about, the soldier versus the speculator, the man who bleeds versus the man who banks.
So he steals the watch. It's not to get rich. It's to take something from a man who represents everything Ethan hates about what America has become. It's a tiny, petty act of redistribution in his mind.
It's symbolic. And now he's sitting in the tavern, staring at the stolen watch. And inside the cover, there's a portrait of a young lady, a wife, maybe a daughter.
He's staring at her portrait, drinking his hot whiskey, knowing that the husband of the woman he slept with is coming to kill him. It's just layers upon layers of mess.
It creates this picture of a man who is completely adrift. He's severed all his ties to society's rules. Theft, adultery, drunkenness, he's checking all the boxes of a ruined man. But he still has this sharp, cynical wit. He's observing his own ruin from a distance.
He does, and he has this very complicated relationship with the bartender, a young guy named Owen.
Owen is fascinating because he represents the myth that Ethan uses to survive. Owen gives Ethan free drinks. And why?
Because Owen reveres veterans. His father died at the Battle of Brooklyn Heights, one of the early disastrous battles of the war where the Americans were just routed.
And Ethan tells Owen these elaborate, heroic stories about how he tried to save his father, how he gave him powder, how they fought side by side, how brave the father was.
It keeps the whiskey flowing. It's a transaction.
But there's a devastating truth underneath it. Ethan admits to himself, in his own head, that it's a complete lie. He never met Owen's father. He probably wasn't even near him on the battlefield.
It's kind of predatory, isn't it?
It is. It's deeply cynical. And later on, when the antagonist Nathan Dorland shows up, he called Ethan out on this publicly. He says something like, "Ask him if you doubt it. Our friend here has given so many doomed men powder. He is like the angel of death."
That nickname, Angel of Death, is chilling. It suggests that Ethan has been telling this same lie to bartenders all over Philadelphia.
"Oh, I knew your father. I tried to save him." But the reality is all those men died. He's capitalizing on the grief of the generation that lost their fathers to the war.
He's trading on the memory of the dead just to stay drunk.
It's a survival mechanism, but a grim one. It shows how low he's sunk. And speaking of grim, let's just paint the scene of the tavern a bit more. It's not a cozy pub. There's a guy in the corner buying Spanish fly from Owen.
Right. It just establishes the seediness of Helltown.
Right.
Spanish fly was a supposed aphrodisiac, right? Made from crushed beetles.
Exactly. It was toxic, dangerous, and often associated with illicit affairs or prostitution. It just paints the picture that the Lion and Bell is not a place for respectable citizens. It's a place for transactions, illicit ones. It's where you go when you don't want to be seen.
Which brings us to the main transaction of the night, the arrival of Nathan Dorland.
The antagonist, or at least the first antagonist, the guy Ethan is waiting for.
He walks in. And he is not what you'd expect from a guy coming to commit murder.
No, not at all. The text describes him as wolfish and petulant. He's wealthy, but physically he's kind of unimposing.
He's described as having a carrotish nose and a weak chin. He's not some hardened warrior. He's a man of the new economy, just like the guy with the watch.
But he has a very old-world grievance.
Ethan slept with his wife.
Sally, or Susan. Ethan can't quite remember her name.
Which is just, well, Sally or Susan or something of that sort. That really drives home how completely checked out Ethan is. It wasn't some grand love affair. It was just another moment of numbness.
He didn't care about her. He just wanted to feel something, or maybe just occupy his time.
But Dorland is furious, and he challenged Ethan to a duel, and Ethan refused.
Now, in 1792, refusing a duel was a huge deal. It was social suicide. If a gentleman challenges you and you say no, you're branded a coward. You're ostracized.
But Ethan is already dead socially. He has nothing left to lose.
And I love Ethan's reasoning. He says dueling is barbarous and, more importantly, fought so early in the morning.
It's witty, but it's also a complete rejection of the gentleman's code. A gentleman defends his honor. Ethan is basically saying, I am not a gentleman anymore. I don't care about your code. I don't care about your rules.
He's mocking the very concept of honor because he feels the whole system that defines honor is rigged anyway.
So because Ethan won't duel, Dorland decides he's just going to murder him. He has a bayonet, and he has 3 friends with him.
And they take Ethan outside into the alley, into the rain and the horse manure, and this is where we see just how low our hero has fallen. He's not fighting back. He's drunk. He falls into the mud.
He vomits.
Yeah.
And he realizes he has pissed himself.
It is the ultimate degradation. Most adventure novels would have the hero snap out of it, punch the bad guy, and escape. But Ethan just lies there.
And yet he still has this weird, detached, philosophical attitude. He claims he's not afraid. He's just analyzing the anatomy of why he lost control of his bladder. He's completely dissociating from the experience.
He's lying in the mud, looking up at this guy who wants to kill him, and he decides to insult him one last time. He tells Dorland, I only wish to make note of the sort of man your wife admitted to her bed.
He is literally trying to provoke the death blow.
He wants it over. He's goading Dorland into finishing it. It's suicide by proxy. He doesn't have the energy to kill himself, so he's outsourcing the job to this angry husband.
But of course, the blow doesn't come, because Ethan has backup he didn't even expect. Entered Leonidas.
Now, we really need to talk about Leonidas. This is a complex relationship that the book handles with a lot of nuance. He is Ethan's slave.
But Ethan's internal monologue reveals a lot of conflict about this. He doesn't view Leonidas as property. He views him as a man, but he's also broke. And Leonidas is worth 60 pounds.
Ethan says it would be madness to emancipate such a sum, even though he hates the institution of slavery.
It's a very honest look at the contradictions of the time. Here's a revolutionary who believes in liberty, but he's trapped by his own economic reality. He is morally against slavery, but practically dependent on the value of it.
It makes him a hypocrite, and he knows it. He's completely aware of it.
Exactly. And Leonidas isn't just a passive victim here. Not at all.
Yeah.
He steps out of the shadows with pistols. He has his own agency.
He works on the docks. He has his own money. He's saving up to buy his own freedom because Ethan won't just give it to him. And in this alley, he takes charge. He bluffs the mob.
He shouts out, "We are 3 to your 1."
And Dorland is confused. He sees Ethan in the mud and Leonidas standing there. That's 2. Where's the third?
And then, bam, the third man appears.
Tyler Lavian.
This scene is straight out of an action movie. Lavi just materializes. He takes down 3 armed men in seconds. It's brutal. He puts a boot on a guy's chest and he pins Dorland.
And this isn't just a tavern brawl. Lavian is cold. He's surgical. He holds a knife to Dorland's thumb and tells him, very calmly, that he's going to slice it off.
You're going to feel a hot sting and then excruciating pain. It's so specific. It's not a threat screamed in anger. It's a statement of fact.
It's terrifying because there's no emotion in it. Lavian isn't doing it because he hates Dorland. He's doing it because it's the most efficient way to ensure Dorland doesn't come back. It's professional violence. This is a man who has done this before many times.
But Ethan stops him. Ethan, from the mud, covered in vomit, insists on mercy. He says, "I'd like to think I have some say in my own rescue."
Which is a redeeming moment for Ethan, despite everything, despite wanting to die, despite his cynicism. He draws a line at mutilation. He still has a moral compass buried somewhere deep under all that whiskey.
He refuses to let Lavian torture this man, even though this man just tried to kill him. It shows that the hero inside him isn't completely dead.
So Dorland runs off, promising revenge, and now we have this trio, the drunken spy, the armed slave, and the mysterious stranger with the knife. They go back into the tavern to dry off, and the interrogation begins.
Ethan wants to know who this guy is, and we learn two very important things about Kyler Lavian. First, he reveals he is Jewish.
And Ethan's reaction is really interesting. He basically says, "I don't care."
Right. He says he has nothing against Jews or Catholics or Muslims. The only people he really hates are Quakers.
With all their sanctimonious peace-mongering, classic Ethan. But this moment highlights the diversity of 1792 Philadelphia. It wasn't a monolith. You had different religions, different backgrounds, all mixing in these taverns.
And historically, the Jewish community in Philadelphia was small but significant. You have figures like Haim Salomon, who helped finance the revolution. So Lavian isn't an anomaly.
But the second revelation is the bombshell. Lavian works for the Treasury Department. Specifically, he works for Alexander Hamilton.
The irony is just, it's so thick. Ethan was ruined by Hamilton, accused of treason by Hamilton. And now Hamilton's personal enforcer has just saved his life.
And not out of the goodness of his heart. Lavian is on a mission. He's looking for a man named Jacob Pearson.
And this connects all the dots, because Jacob Pearson is the husband of the woman who visited Ethan earlier that day.
Cynthia Pearson, formerly Cynthia Fleet.
This is the emotional core for Ethan. Cynthia is the daughter of his old mentor, Richard Fleet. They were in love during the war. But when Ethan was disgraced and had to flee, she stayed behind.
She married Jacob Pearson, a wealthy property dealer.
And now, 10 years later, she shows up at Ethan's boarding house in the middle of the night. She's terrified. She thinks her husband is in danger.
And Lavian is looking for the husband too, but he won't say why.
He's taken an oath of silence, only for Hamilton or the president. So we have a missing husband, a distressed ex-lover, a treasury conspiracy, and a deadly enforcer. The hook is officially set.
We have all the ingredients for a noir mystery set in the 18th century.
It is. But to really understand the stakes, to understand why money and speculation are so central to this mystery, we have to leave 1792 for a moment. We need to go back to 1781.
We need to understand the intellectual underpinnings of this world, because this book isn't just about a missing guy. It's about the soul of the American economy.
Yes. Let's meet Joan Maycott.
Joan is, wow, she is a force of nature. If Ethan is the body of the story-beaten, bruised, drunk, Joan is the brain. She starts the book as an innocent, but she becomes something just terrifyingly brilliant.
I love Joan. We meet her when she's a young woman living on a farm near Albany. She's not wealthy, but she's comfortable. The thing about Joan is that she is just fiercely intellectual.
She is self-taught. While other girls are learning needlepoint or how to manage a household, she is reading Hobbes, Locke, Hume, Adam Smith. She's reading The Wealth of Nations.
She's absorbing the entire Enlightenment. She's frustrated by the limitations placed on her as a woman, but she channels that frustration into sheer brain power.
She's basically getting a university education in political philosophy while tending chickens. But the turning point for her isn't a philosophy book, it's a novel.
Amelia by Henry Fielding.
Her father brings it home, and it just blows her mind. She decides she wants to write a novel, but not just any novel. She wants to write the American novel.
And this is where the book gets really meta and really brilliant. Joan develops a theory about literature. She analyzes English novels like Tom Jones or Clarissa, and she realizes they are all about one thing.
Property.
Estates, inheritance, who gets the manor house. It's all about landed gentry. The drama is always, will he get the estate? Or will she marry the man with the estate?
Exactly. In England, land is scarce. It's precious. It's the source of power. So the drama revolves around retaining or acquiring that property.
But Joan looks around America in 1781, and what does she see? Land is everywhere. It's cheap. It's abundant. You can just walk west and stake a claim.
So a novel about land in America would be boring. Oh, he got the farm. Great. So did everyone else. There's no conflict.
So she concludes that an American novel can't be about property. It has to be about money.
Base, unremarkable, corrupting money. That is her thesis. And it's so prophetic, she realizes before almost anyone else that the story of America isn't going to be about landed gentry. It's going to be about currency, speculation, and the fluidity of wealth.
She sees that in a land where anyone can own property, the real power will come from the abstraction of value, from banking, from speculation, from the ability to turn a piece of paper into a fortune.
Which historically is exactly what happened. The 1780s and 90s were a period of rampant speculation in land and debt. Joan figures this out from her farm in Albany. She realizes the future belongs to the schemers, not the farmers.
And she decides to live her life like the protagonist of this novel she wants to write. She needs a love interest. Enter Andrew Maycott.
A wounded war veteran. Beautiful, kind, but perhaps a bit simpler than Joan. He walks with a cane, he's gentle, he sort of represents the honest American.
And she spots him in town, and she literally rides to his farm and demands that he court her.
It's a fantastic scene. She just rejects all the social norms. She tells him, I am in need of a sentimental encounter. She's so direct.
She's directing her own life. She says, I don't want to be the passive heroine. I'm going to make this happen. And Andrew is just charmed by it. He's a bit bewildered, but he's charmed. He's happy to let her take the lead.
They marry and they move to New York, and for a while they are happy. Andrew supports her writing. She's trying to write this great novel, but then tragedy strikes.
It does. Over 5 years, Joan had 3 miscarriages.
She says she produced neither book nor child. It's a heartbreaking stagnation, all that intellectual energy, all that ambition, and she's trapped by biology and circumstance. She feels like a failure.
And this personal tragedy pushes them to make a change. They decide to leave the city. They decide to look at lands on the frontier.
Which links us right back to the title, The Whiskey Rebels. They are heading out to where the whiskey is made, to the very edge of civilization.
But Joan carries this theory with her, that money is the corrupting force of America. She's leaving the city, but she understands the city better than the people still living there.
And that theory is going to collide with Ethan's reality in 1792. Ethan is the victim of that corruption. Joan is the one who saw it coming.
And remember, the frontier wasn't just empty space. It was the place where people went to escape the tax collectors and the banks. It was the anti-Philadelphia.
But Joan is going there knowing that the banks will eventually follow. There's no escaping it.
So let's jump back to 1792. Ethan, Leonidas, and the deadly Mr. Lavian are now a team, whether they like it or not. They decide to go to Jacob Pearson's house to find out what Cynthia really knows.
And the journey there is significant. We talked about the 2 cities earlier. They walk from Helltown to the center of the city, and the transition is just stark.
They go from mud huts to paved streets and red brick mansions. It's like walking from the Dark Ages into the Renaissance in the span of 15 minutes.
And they pass the shadow of the Bank of the United States. It's looming over everything.
That bank is Hamilton's great project. It's the engine that is transforming the country. It's centralizing debt, issuing currency. And for men like Ethan, who were paid in worthless continental paper money after the war, that bank is a symbol of their disenfranchisement.
It represents the power that stole their victory.
They arrive at the Pearson mansion. And remember, Ethan looks like an absolute nightmare. He's wet, he's muddy, he's covered in vomit and blood. He smells like cheap whiskey and horse manure.
He knocks on the door of high society. The footman opens it and is just horrified. He tries to block them. He looks at Ethan like he's a wild animal.
I'm afraid Mrs. Pearson is not accepting visitors. And Ethan just pushes past him. He's done with rules. He's done with politeness.
This moment, pushing past the footman, is so symbolic. The chaotic, violent reality of the street is forcing its way into the polite, manicured world of the wealthy. They can't keep it out anymore. The mud is coming inside.
The revolution they thought was over is walking right through the front door.
And then she appears, Cynthia.
The reunion. 10 years of silence broken.
Ethan describes her as even more beautiful than before, but sad. She's wearing pale green. And the tension is just, you could cut it with a knife. She sees Ethan, this man she once loved, who was a hero, standing there looking like a wet drunk.
She's horrified, but she's also trying to maintain composure. She's a lady of society now. She has a reputation to uphold. She tries to dismiss them. She tells them her husband is just away on business.
But Lavian isn't buying it, not for a second. He presses her. He says, you don't send for a disgraced spy in the middle of the night if your husband is just on a business trip.
Lavian is ruthless here. He sees right through the social niceties. He doesn't care about her discomfort at all.
And Cynthia realizes she's trapped. She sees Lavian, whom she calls persistent and tiresome, And she realizes he's involved. She knows he's dangerous. She knows he represents Hamilton, so she just kicks them out. She shuts down completely.
But before she closes the door, she has one last moment with Ethan.
Yes. The mask slips for just a second.
She looks at him and says, "It is good, very good to see you again."
And Ethan knows. He knows she's lying about her husband. He knows she is terrified. And that one sentence is enough to recommit him to the cause.
He decides he's going to help her, but he's going to do it his way, not Hamilton's way, not Lavian's way.
He's going to use his own methods, the methods of a spy, the methods of a man who knows how to operate in the shadows.
And that sets the stage for the rest of the story. We have a conspiracy involving the Treasury. We have a missing speculator. We have a brilliant woman from the past whose theories on money are coming true. And we have a fallen hero trying to find redemption in the mud.
It's such a rich setup. It's noir, but with powdered wigs.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to connect these threads. What's the big picture here? Why does this story matter beyond just being a good thriller?
Well, the big picture is that speculator's paradise. David Liss is using this story to examine the moment America decided what it was going to be.
Right, there was this fork in the road.
Exactly. Was it going to be a republic of farmers and ideals, the way Jefferson wanted? Or was it going to be a financial superpower built on credit, debt, and speculation, the way Hamilton wanted?
And clearly, looking at Wall Street today, we know which path we took.
We do. But The Whiskey Rebels shows us the human cost of that decision. Ethan and Joan are the collateral damage of that choice. Joan predicted it. Ethan is living it. They are both outsiders now. The economy has moved on without them.
The revolutionaries have been left behind by the revolution.
Perfectly put. And it's a story about identity, too. Ethan has to reinvent himself. He can't be the soldier anymore. He has to figure out who he is in this new world where honor doesn't matter, but money does.
And that's the question we want to leave you with today. We often think of the Founding Fathers as this unified group and the early days of America as this pure, patriotic time. But this book just shatters that.
It shows the grit, the greed, and the infighting. It shows that the American dream was complicated from day one.
It asks a really tough question. In a nation built on revolution, what happens when the revolutionaries themselves become the inconvenience? What happens when the heroes are too dirty for the new, clean, brick-paved streets?
And maybe more importantly, who really won the war? The soldiers who fought it, or the men like Bingham and Hamilton who figured out how to finance it?
Ooh, that is a thought to chew on. Joan Maycott predicted a story about corrupting money. I think we're definitely living in her novel.
I think we are, and I think Ethan Saunders would have another glass of Monongahela rye and agree with us.
He absolutely would. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the Whiskey Rebels. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay curious.